Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it. Technology
increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
Welcome, everybody, to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and we hope you're joining us live today. And if you're not, you're seeing this on replay, I want you to be able to put us in your calendar and catch us every single week as we go live Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, bringing you amazing, amazing guests. People are going to help you level up. They're going to share their stories, their experiences, their skill sets to help you close those gaps in your knowledge, to help create a quicker path to success. We know it's a very messy path. It always is. But look, the things we don't know are the things we need to find out. And if you have any questions, make sure you're asking them today. You can put them in the comments. Ask questions of myself or Steve, or especially our guests, because they have sometimes the key that unlocks the door that you're locked out of, that you need to get to success. And, if you want to bookmark and see who's coming up on the show, you can go to masterconnector.show. We've got a whole list of great guests that are coming up. We got authors, we got TEDx speakers. In fact, today on this show, we have a TEDx speaker. People are going to help you along the way. Go to masterconnector.show who's coming up. And we also want to thank today's sponsored show is from Russ Hedge Consulting, longtime friend of the show. And for over 30 years, sales and marketing success in multiple industries, Russ Hedge can help you be successful in your business by helping you truly connect, transform your business, connect to new customers. RussHedge.com. Head on over there right now. Get in touch with him. Wonderful, amazing guy. Good friend of the show. Appreciate you, Russ Hedge. And look, we are bringing people together here. This is the Master Connector Show. So, when you get in the comments there, connect with each other. The whole idea here is not just to bring you a great show, which we will, we always do, but Steve and I, we're two former shy guys, two introverts who overcame those obstacles in order to connect with people. And we're going to have a great show today to talk about connecting. And look, we want you to be a connector, but honestly, there's only one master connector. Let's bring on Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's going on, Robbie G? I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a wild journey here, and just getting started. The trip we're just on the beginning of the road, so excited for it. So appreciate you, bud. Well, what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And yeah, we're gonna have an amazing show today. And I got a question for you guys. So what if the most important moments in your life happened at the intersection of connection and purpose? And so what do I mean? So I got to say, there's been a lot of those intersection moments in my life personally. It's been wild. But one, and this kind of led to me meeting Rob, and a lot of shifts and changes. And Rob probably has heard this story a few times. He knows the story. But, so for me, I was working in the advertising industry, working on some pretty cool accounts, including Guinness beer. And I got sent to Ireland. I was sent with a good friend who unfortunately is no longer with us, a guy named Brian McAlargy. And Brian, unfortunately, passed of a brain tumor at about 38 years old. An amazing man, good friend of me from work. And then Rob and him went to school together. Anyway, Brian had told me about a gentleman who he had, a good friend of his, who was incredibly successful, led to me actually meeting this man. And after stalking him, became a mentor to me. And that has shifted my life incredibly. He's the one who challenged me to meet three strangers every day. He challenged me to get into self-development. He challenged me to, be beyond who I was, and really, really transformed a lot. Really changed the trajectory of my life. And that led to a whole bunch of things, writing a book eventually, being able to shift gears into multiple industries. Just incredible. Obviously, a big part of that is me having the gumption to be on a live broadcast like this. Incredible. It led me to meeting Rob G. I met him through that experience, and just incredible. And then obviously being an inspirational speaker, being around him, I saw how he was emotional with people. He showed his emotion. I don't mean emotional. That doesn't come across right. But he was able to share his feelings, his emotions publicly, privately. And I was a very stoic guy. Rob knows this very clearly. I didn't show my emotion very well. But because I saw his example and I started to see his authenticity and I saw him get vulnerable, and that really shifted and changed my perspective. And I saw a real man's man up on stages basically getting emotional. And my idea was a man's man was, hey, you're strong, you're confident. Well, yeah, he was strong and confident, but so confident he could get emotional and show his feelings and get a little welled up and cry occasionally. So just so many things from that one intersection connection. It happened to be in the sky, whatever, 10,000 miles high, whatever it was. I'm probably not 10,000 miles, but whatever, you get the idea. So one intersection, one connection can really change your life. And that's just one example of many, many that have come along the way. But anyway, we're going to get into it. We're going to have a great time. So if you're ready to have my man, Mr. Robbie G, introduce our incredible guest, type in, let's go. Robbie G, I'll pass to you, sir.
All right, let's go. Cody B. Loveland is a dynamic performance coach and keynote speaker who's delivered thousands of hours of presentations, including 2 powerful TEDx talks designed to motivate, educate, and inspire. With a master's in education and doctoral studies in leadership and social justice, Cody brings over 2 decades of cross-industry experience spanning education, HR, communications, and the nonprofit world. His signature Speak method has helped leaders, teams, and aspiring speakers unlock their voice, boost their confidence, and communicate with lasting impact. Known for high energy and heart, Cody blends entertainment, education, and emotion into every keynote, workshop, and coaching session. Whether he's helping you unleash your superpower purpose or craft your personal brand, Cody leaves audiences better than he found them. He's also a proud family man, sports fan, and connoisseur of all things Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney. Please welcome to the show, Cody B. Loveland. Welcome, Cody. What's up?
Greetings, everybody. It's great to be with you. Thanks for the introduction. Hello to you, and hello to everybody that's joining us today. I'm excited to be with you.
We're pumped to have you here with us. It's incredible. And, it's funny because, every time Rob does a great job introducing our guests, and I'm like, man, we got a good one today, so
I thought, man, who is this? Who is this that's being introduced? I'm excited to hear from this guy.
Absolutely. I particularly like the Star Wars reference for sure. So
yeah, if I get out of the way, we can just go straight to the graphics in the back.
There you go. That's it. Well, listen, you heard me tell a little bit of that one story that was a game changer for me, and it's that moment in time that I'll think about forever because it really shifted for me. So, want to talk about moments. So, community, type in #moments, and what was one key intersection in your life where a connection changed everything as well?
There have been so many experiences in my life, and let me just start by framing this up quickly. Is that I grew up in a town where we had an intersection. It was called 5 Points, and it was this 5 points intersection. And growing up, my parents were always like, "Hey, make sure when you're crossing 5 points, be careful. Don't ride your bike through 5 points, etc." And that's where I came up with this concept of the connection intersection, because it's this moment in time where all things come together. And the goal is that it's a good, positive experience. And so your question is like, when you come to these intersections, right, it's this opportunity. It's this point in time where you're connecting where you're at to where you're going. And it can be this moment of great opportunity and impact in your life. For me, there was a great opportunity. I've had several of them. I grew up in a home where, I was able to flourish in my talents and was a performer, worked in radio. I did a lot of things and met a lot of people, hence the master connector and Rob as well, being able to introduce myself to folks. One experience for me was I was in a PhD level class. I was working on my PhD, and I came across a book called Good to Great. And it's the great Jim Collins, right? Most of the listeners may be familiar with Good to Great. I was working at the time as a teacher. I was working on a PhD in education because I felt my gift was to teach and to inspire, right, people. And when I was reading this book, Good to Great, I was challenged by the instructor to identify what is the thing that you could be best in the world at. And I never thought of it that way. And so for me, the connection was actually a book. It wasn't necessarily a person, but it was a book that changed my framework, because I thought, hey, I'm going to be on a 20-year track to be a tenured professor. Like, that's my goal. And all of a sudden I read this book, and it was at this intersection where I thought I was going to go right on to this professorship. And instead I hit this intersection, and all of a sudden it's this opportunity now to what I could be the best in the world. I can actually motivate, inspire all people, not just, students, college students, the subject matter. But what if all of a sudden I take this and I go on my own and I speak and I motivate and I inspire people outside of education? And, can we make a difference in the world? And that was the moment of the intersection for me.
Yeah. I want to just relate a similar moment for me, because, when we talk about connection, we always talk about people. But for me, I think I was about 17 years old, and I have two older brothers. My oldest brother was a born salesman. I mean, this guy, we're talking about back in the late 70s, early 80s. He was selling steak knives out of the back of his car, sweaters, you name it. He could sell ice to an Eskimo, honestly. But one day, I was just kind of talking with him about how I felt like I wanted to achieve in life, and I didn't know what that meant. I was so clueless. He handed me a book called See You at the Top by the amazing Zig Ziglar. And I read the book, Cody, and I was like, what? I'm like, this can happen? Like, there's people like this, because I grew up in a very negative environment. I was like, wow, who is this guy? That set me on a path to seek people who are like Zig, who are like you, like Steve, people who are learning, who are connecting, So that was a big aha moment in my life too, with the book.
Yeah. I love that. I want to say this, what both of you guys were saying, what I heard and learned from several really successful people is success happens when opportunity and preparedness meet, right? And a lot of times you're at an intersection, but you're not ready. And that opportunity is there, and you don't take it, right? And sometimes you're ready, but you don't hit that intersection. It doesn't come and nothing happens, right? But when the two happens, you got to be ready. And so, one of the things I did several posts this week, and one of the posts was, you got to always stay open. I think the key to success is being open, being ready, right? But speaking of which, I just want to acknowledge a few people real quick. Yolanda, amazing. Welcome. As always, Yolanda, incredible community member. It's great to have Russ on with us here as well. Also great seeing Rich Salen, who is a alum of the Master Connector show. He was on before. We're looking to have him again on, in the up and coming months ahead. So great having you on with us as well. So, but make sure if you're watching here, get in the comments. You're number one, to connect with each other. Number two, we don't know if you're on the comments. We believe in LinkedIn participants, not LinkedIn lurkers. So anyway, let's keep it going, right? So, one of the things that I like to talk about is, we talk about connection, right? And so connection can mean a lot of things, but for me and Rob on the Master Connector show, it's all about, people, right? I used to say this for years. This world would be great if it wasn't for people, but people I have learned that it's important, that people are super important in your life, and you can't accomplish anything if you don't have good people around you. So let's talk about how you treat people and their impression. So community, type in #impression. So what kind of lasting experience do you aim to give the people you meet, Cody?
Well, I believe in three things. Number one, I believe in people, because I think, every single one of us has these interesting stories. You sit next to somebody, on a plane, you run into somebody at the grocery store. There's just fascinating interest in people. So number one, I believe in people. Number two, I believe that every person has a unique skill, a unique talent, an ability. I call it a superpower, right? When we unleash these superpowers and we're able to show up authentically. Number three, when we do it collectively, I think we can have these Avenger moments, right, from the Marvel universe, where we all bring our superpowers together, but we can only do that when we see value in each other and we connect with people. And I understand what you're bringing to the table, what I'm bringing to the table. If I use the Marvel metaphor for a moment, if everyone had the superpower of the Hulk, right, just smashing things, what a ridiculous world that would be, right? But we need the diversity. We need to be including people from different aspects and thought and backgrounds to be able to bring their unique superpowers. We need to identify and acknowledge their authentic skills and the superpower that they bring. And so for me, I look at people as this opportunity to connect with people, in a face-to-face, in a virtual, in a way that I show up authentically, and I want to help provide an environment where that person can show up authentically, because that's where they feel heard, they feel valued, they feel trusted. And once those kind of barriers have been removed, people all of a sudden start to tell the stories that are really the most impactful. And those are the stories that we connect with as humans on a human to human level. Those are the stories that we connect with in a worker, boss, employee, company. Those are the things that now allow me to work harder, because it's like, wow, I saw the way that you treated your family, or I know that your family or loved one just went through, a medical emergency or whatever. And all of a sudden now I have empathy and I'm able to connect with you on that deeper level. So I show up better at work. It has nothing to do with the job. It has to do with the relationship and the connection that I make with people.
I want to tag on that a second. I want to ask you a question and dig a little deeper on that, Cody, because as a brand strategist, authenticity is the heart of everything. And I don't even like that word anymore because it's so watered down. People don't know what it actually means. And in my journey, before I became a strategist for brand, I was trying to be something that I thought you wanted me to be. I spent 25 years in corporate, so I wore that mask for a long time. It was so hard once I came out that I didn't even know I was still wearing it. So what would you say to people? Because I see this all the time. I know you see it. They don't really understand how to be themselves, how to be their real self with others when it comes to business, especially. They're showing up as the salesperson, as the customer service person, as the strategist. Like, they're not showing up as themselves, and they lose something there. How can they really get in touch with who they are and let that shine through their skill set?
Yeah. I see that all the time in my executive coaching as well. And what happens is, from an academic standpoint, is that around 4th or 5th grade, all of a sudden these hopes and aspirations and dreams that we all thought we were going to be an astronaut or whatever, right? All of a sudden we're told, actually, you're not very good at that. Or, what you're really good at is you're good at math, or you're good at science, or you're good at, whatever. And you no longer want to be a guitarist for the band. And all of a sudden, this little thread of what I call this superpower, right, that ran through your life, all of a sudden is diminished. And all of a sudden it's rerouted somewhere else. And so what I try to do, and I encourage people, is to find what is that thing that brings you joy? What is that passion? And so that's the authentic kind of red thread. And I tell people, if you want to be an astronaut, that desire is still in you. It's just showing up now as a salesperson, right? How you show up as a salesperson maybe has something to do with back in your dreams and aspirations of being an astronaut. Listen, I gave a TED talk on being surrounded by superheroes. And this idea of wearing masks is interesting, because we often talk about wearing the salesperson mask, or, the mask that I need to show up a certain way. And I actually debunked that in my TED talk. And what I said is that maybe the opposite is true. Maybe we should wear a mask. When you think about the superheroes, I've got a mask here of a stormtrooper. I'm not saying this is the right mask, but I'm just saying that sometimes by putting a mask on, our true identity shows up. It's the old question. Is the mask Bruce Wayne, or is the mask Batman? I would argue that the mask was Bruce Wayne. The real character is Batman. And when he showed up to try to save people, to overcome challenges, to, break down barriers, to help people, it was as Batman, not as Bruce Wayne. So he wore the mask as Bruce Wayne. So what I say is that when people show up to work, they show up as Bruce Wayne, when in reality, they're the superhero. So maybe what we need to do is, what is the cape that I need to wear? What is the mask that I need to show up at work? And then attack those problems like Batman, like Wonder Woman, right? Like Superman, whatever it is. So I think it's, how do I feel comfortable? And I think, Rob, that gets to your point. Like, how do I feel comfortable being the superhero at work? That goes back to our internal mindset of how I show up. Am I embarrassed? Am I going to be, threatened? Am I really going to be too vulnerable? Are people going to make fun of me? Those are the fears that we need to work on. It's not necessarily, I believe I'm a superhero. It's just, when I show up to work, are they going to let me wear the cape at my desk? And right, are they going to laugh and point? So how do we overcome that through mindset and through attacking some of those problems is really the secret.
I love that. That is cool. And I think to that point, that's kind of what the master connector became, because it was so not me, but I've learned to be that. And so, and for years as a kid, I always thought of myself as a superhero, and my wife thinks that underneath my clothing is a big S, right? She calls me my
I was waiting for you to do this.
Yeah, hey, maybe it's a G-rated show here, but I might, you probably see too much hair, but anyway, yeah, she calls me my Spiro hero, but anyway, it's I think that's a really, really cool perspective, right? So I want to take this to the next level. I want to speak on catalyst. So hashtag community, hashtag catalyst. And you're talking about talent. You're talking about skills. You're talking about things inside of you. So here's the question: how could you? Who was a person that you've worked with, I guess, that have helped unlock a skill or talent in you? And what was it, or in them, I guess, and what was that? What was that spark? How did that all happen?
Yeah. I think that we are surrounded by individuals who can help us all the time. And I'm going to answer the question specifically, but more generally, if we're not lifetime learners and we're not looking out, and you talked about this, Steve, at the very beginning, right? Every opportunity we have to interact with someone at that intersection, if we're not learning something, if we're not growing, if we're not asking questions, every person can be a teacher. My kids are teachers, right? The person at the grocery store is a teacher. We're constantly, if we live this idea of being a lifetime learner, we'll find them all over. And so for me, when I go back and I say, wow, what is one of those moments? I was a brand new teacher. I was doing student teaching. And I thought the idea was, as I show up to class and I'm going to wow these students, right? 14-year-old, I'm going to wow them with all these facts and information. And they're going to go and, man, this is the best teacher ever. And I remember I was sitting in another teacher who was a little bit older than me, but he wasn't the most skilled teacher. He was very personable, right? The kids liked him. And so I kind of wanted to get like, what is it? And then he said this to me, and I thought it was so profound, and it really unlocked everything for me as a teacher. And then now what I do as a speaker, a trainer, et cetera. And he just said, look, he said, I didn't get hired necessarily because what I know, I get hired because of how I care. And I thought, whoa, it's like that old phrase that we always hear. It's not how much you know, it's how much, you care. And that's what people remember. And it really changed because I thought the kids aren't going to go home from school thinking of all these facts and figures that, Cody taught them. It's going to be like, wow, I showed up to their track meet and I cheered on the sideline and they saw me. And then the next day they're like, hey, I saw you at my track meet. Thank you for coming. Right. They're going through hardships in another class and I let them stay after and work on some homework. We talked about a TV show, right, that they really liked after school. Hey, what do you watch after school? I really like Dragon Ball Z. Well, I don't even know what that is. Tell me what Dragon Ball Z is. And next thing you know, that kid participates a lot more in class. Right. It was that moment where that teacher said, I didn't get hired because of what I know. I got hired because I care. And it totally changed how I show up for every presentation, how I show up when I'm speaking, when I'm coaching. I don't want to wow you with facts. I want to bring the energy, the passion, all that kind of stuff. But I also want you to know that I believe in you. I care about you. And I know that whatever it is that you're trying to go through and overcome and accomplish today, I'm here cheering and helping you along that way because I believe in you. And I think that's the thing for me, at least early on, that changed me from just being hey, I'm going to give you all the information. I'm going to be factual and, to all of a sudden more personable and building on connections.
I love that. So one of the things I love your energy, and I am a low-key guy. Rob knows this. I think we both are relatively low-key, but so on purpose, as you can tell when I started my monologue in the beginning, I start with, hey, Master Connector coming at you live and direct. It's a way of bringing energy, and I have to manufacture that. And so I'd like to talk about energy a little bit. So community, type in hashtag energy because you have incredible energy, right? So here's the thought or question for you, Cody. How do you intentionally show up in a way that makes others feel seen and valued? You were kind of touching that. I want you to tell me. You tell me that you do it. Now I need to know how you do it.
Yeah. There are 3 V's I talk about. People want to feel valued, they want to feel valuable, and they want to feel validated. Those 3 V's: valuable, valued, and validated. And they're very similar. And so for me, you always want to, like, if you're thinking about the spotlight on a stage, you want to put a spotlight on people. You want them to feel seen. You want them to feel heard. You want them to feel cared for. That's part of that valued, validated, and valuable, right? So coming into a room, coming into a meeting, what I see people do wrong all the time is they come in, they get right to business. Hey, everybody, let's turn to slide 17. Hey, everybody, people don't like the chit chat and the small talk, but that's where the connections happen. Steve, how was your weekend? You told me that you were going to go away. You were going to go to, X, Y. Rob, how's your family? Last time we talked, you said your kids, those are the things that open people up and allow this energy now to all of a sudden happen. So now when I jump in, I want to start with something at a high level to say, hey, my family and I just went and saw a movie last night. We went and saw, the latest Marvel film. How many of you have seen that? Automatically, people are participating. That gets the energy up, right? Oh, I haven't. I hate Marvel, whatever it is, right? It's like, we went and saw something else. Oh, that's cool. Did you like it? Yeah. Right. It's like getting in a car on a cold day. You let the engine kind of rev up and get warm, and then you can put the pedal down, you can go. So I think for me, it's always putting the spotlight on individuals, starting at a very broad perspective, right? Bringing that energy in, people participating with some easy kind of questions, right? And then I want to come in with the information, start with the thing that's most important that everybody's interested in, and then you kind of work through and get to some of those more specifics.
Yeah, I want to point out something that you said there, Cody, that for me was very, very valuable. And I think it came out of my own insecurities and low self-image, was that I was always overlooked. I'm not even talking about getting picked for the team or not getting picked. I'm talking about overlooked in general. And so I hated that. I didn't like when people would enter a room and nobody would acknowledge them, because that was me. And I was so small, I felt even smaller. So, I mean, outside of this, what I do, I run a couple of networking groups. And anytime somebody enters the room, I don't care if somebody's in the middle of talking, as soon as they finish their sentence, or if I'm talking, I will pause and say, "Hey, Cody, I saw you just walked in. Good to see you, man. Where are you coming in from? Who invited you?" Something like that. And automatically that new person feels like, wow, I matter in here.
Right.
To me, that was one of the biggest things. So when you talk about validating, validating somebody's presence, to me, made a big difference in my life. And now I've seen that happen as I do that for other people.
Yeah. Can I just piggyback real fast? I think that's so important. Please. And I think, unfortunately, we are brought up in a culture of shaming people who show up late. We shame people who maybe make a noise, right? We shame people who don't make eye contact the whole time. Not everyone is the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of validating our experience and the value that you bring. Maybe your value isn't necessarily on your promptness. It's not on my hairstyle, right? It's not on the clothes that I wear. It's what's inside, that really matters. And I think, to your point, and one of the things that I'd always try to do, whether it's, in a training, in a meeting, look, you're late walking in. Maybe you had an urgent reason why you were late. I don't know. I'm not going to assume that, punish you because of it. But I always make sure that when someone comes in, I love what you said. It's just like, hey, thank you so much for joining us today, Rob. It's great to see you. Does it derail the meeting? No. Right? Does it reward Rob for being late? No. But it takes the shame away that maybe Rob is carrying into that meeting and then has to sit with for maybe 10 or 15 minutes and start internally telling himself this story of like, oh, Cody's mad at me because I wasn't here on time. He doesn't really, and he starts, he's not even listening to the meeting. So if you can just identify, right, again, it's that spotlight moment. If you can just, hey, who are some people that I can spotlight today? And the people that sometimes you need a spotlight are those ones you talked about, Rob. They're the ones that don't make the eye contact. They're the ones that kind of sheepishly go to the back of the room. You got to break out a little bit. And that's, Steve, where maybe, right, you just got to assume the presence and you walk to the back to say, hey, it's really great to see you today. I'm so glad that you're here. I know you got a lot going on. You're busy, just really glad that you're here.
Well, speaking of glad that you're here, we are glad that you're here for sure. And now we're at the bottom of the hour, but this is phenomenal. I mean, these shows are 30-minute shows. And like, especially when we have an amazing guest like you, Cody, we wanted to go like more, but we're trying to be respectful and keep this short and concise. But anyway, I know that you have an offer, something you want to, offer up to our community. So can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Sure. Just real quickly, look, I believe that people every day are kind of going through the motions. They have this red thread that, they have this passion, this interest, this superpower that they haven't unleashed yet. And sometimes it's just talking through with someone. How do I identify that superpower? How do I bring that red thread into my current workspace? How do I maybe leave the work that I'm in and go over to that space that I really wanted to be an astronaut or whatever the case is? And so I just want to offer a free 30-minute meet and greet, I call it. It's just an opportunity for us to kind of talk about what's going on with you in your life, opportunities to either identify that superpower and then really build it out. And then from there, is it a brand? Is it a product? Is it a resume, right? What is it that you want to show up and kind of tell the world what your superpower is? Because like I said, I believe in people. We all got a superpower, and we want to unleash them together. We're going to change communities, companies, and the world.
Love that. Love that. And what's the best way? That's phenomenal, Cody. What's the best way for our community to reach you, please?
You know, the best way, I'm on all social medias at Cody B. Loveland. So you can find me there. My email is just Cody@CodyBLoveland and CodyBLoveland.com. I try to make it easy.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Well, we really appreciate it. Thank you again for blessing our community. And we're going to have you go into the green room as we close up the show. So
thank you so much, everyone.
Hopefully you hang out a couple minutes for us. All right. Good stuff. There we go. Sorry, technical stuff. There we go. Cody was going to finish the show for us. No, but anyway, incredible. What an amazing guest. And make sure you connect with Cody. But just excited. So thank you again, Cody. Thank you again, community, for being here, because this show, we're doing this for you. And next week, if you're excited about what you heard today, tune in next week, episode 223 on the 6th of August. It's going to be Influence Without Manipulation with Rob Joles. It's going to be a great show. And if you want to learn more about future shows, being a sponsor like Mr. Russ Hedge, go to masterconnector.show. You can see what's going on. Rob has been doing a great job keeping the website up to speed. Incredible. So go there. And, you know, if you're not trying to get on us live every week, just go to masterconnector.show, because the link on that current show for the day of the show is actually you click that link and you get right into the live broadcast right there. So in case you didn't need to know. So masterconnector.show is a good place to go. Anyway, I want to close with a quick story. You know, before he was a tech visionary, Jack Dorsey was a college dropout tinkering with dispatch systems until a chance conversation with a colleague at a podcasting company sparked the idea for Twitter. That one connection at the right intersection of time, creatively, and shared vision set off a chain reaction that would shape the way the world communicates. It's a powerful reminder that when the right people cross paths, even casual conversations can ignite global revolutions. Folks, let's continue to stay open, connect with people, knowing that one connection can change it all, understanding that it can help you to get to the next level. So ultimately, we could be the light. God bless. We'll see you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.